It's almost been 6 months since I uploaded part 3 of this bathroom reno series. I'm very sorry it took so long. I've just been a lazy piece of shit with editing. So welcome to part 4. In this part, we'll be finishing the project and the series along with it. So I've crammed all my remaining footage into this big video. It's about 30 minutes long, so a lot of this footage has been sped up, and I'll be along in this video doing voiceover to explain some of the stuff. There's about 200 hours of work and probably about 18 hours of footage actually being displayed over the next 30 minutes. So I just wanted to tell you guys I appreciate your viewership and sticking around if you watch through the whole lot and just witnessing some of the hard work that's gone into this. But anyway, let's get into it. I think it's the 14th of July today. So it's been probably 2 weeks since I picked up the camera, and we've finished off the shower and we've been using that. Just finished it off last week. So we've ordered tiles. We've got floor and some wall tiles. They're the same ones. They're just going to go on the wall as well as the floor. So to prep this area, I'm just making a window frame here. This part comes out. I've just got it stuck in here at the moment, taking measurements to do a piece that's going to go all the way around, which I'm just about to go cut them to size. So yeah, that's just what we're working on at the moment. There's not really a lot to do until the tiles get here, so that could be sometime next week. But yeah, after they go in, we can get the toilet done, and then we can begin this side of the room. So I'm pretty keen. I've done the window here. I don't know if I filmed that either, but that went pretty easy. Went in one day without much drama at all. So very pleased with that install. So I've got the table saw set up. Gonna plane a straight edge on these. This is my timber. I need an 85mm wide piece, like 4 of them, and then we'll cut some 45s in them and make it all look good. So I'll just explain here. I'm cutting my 45s in. I cut them off camera, so you'll just see the transition in a second. There it is. Look at that, amazing. So I just clamped them in temporarily, and of course also off camera, nailed them all in. In a minute you'll see some footage of painting, and I stopped for a second just to fill it. This is like paintable silicone. I probably should have waited for it to dry because it did later end up cracking, so just wait the 10 minutes for it to dry and continue painting. But I just wiped it off, as you see in there, with a rag and kept going. I gave this window frame 3 coats. This is footage I've just inserted because I realised I didn't get any footage of the tiles going in or the new toilet going down. So here it all is. This is what it looks like. I intentionally only tiled one half of the bathroom to leave the other half free for me to plan out the cabinet. I didn't explain any of this on camera. I'm just cutting a cardboard template for this glass cabinet that we're going to put on the brick wall opposite to that previous shot, kind of where I was standing. So this is going to be the cabinet that sits above our sink, and it has 4 like mounting points you see in a minute when I lift it, just there in the corner. I was making this template out of cardboard for those brackets so I could tape the cardboard to the wall and mark where I need to put the mounting screws, which are going to be anchored into the brick wall. Once all 4 holes are drilled, I put my anchors in, which are just those little plastic, you know, like green things, if you ever used them before, and screw them in, but not all the way in. They need to stick out by about 5 mil from the head to sort of the wall, so that the brackets can actually hook on. This was a fucking struggle to hang up, by the way. This was a real struggle to hang up by yourself, and I was there for about 10 minutes hanging that up in front of that camera, and it looked very funny in fast forward on my timeline. With the cabinet bracketry all in place and lined up, Mum and I painted this space, and Mum had fun with the camera without her glasses on. So yeah, we painted this space. You can see maybe behind us on that brick wall that we didn't paint the square where the cabinet will actually sit, just to, you know, save us time, use less paint. We also didn't paint below a certain point because of the sink cabinet that's going to be down on the ground later on. So with everything dry, Mum and I install the cabinet again, so I can start working on the sink cabinet, which is going to sit below it, which needs to sit at a certain height, so these doors that we're hanging on now will clear things like the tap in the sink. Hi, sorry, keep forgetting to record and I've got low battery, so I'm gonna make it quick. The bench is in. I drilled some holes in the brick that's holding up the back of it with some 100mm batten screws. I'll go get a new battery and I'll keep filming because I'm gonna cut some legs for this side. Well, 4, 6, 7 legs I need to make. So yeah, I'm just getting my measurement and then I'm gonna go cut them. I'm not gonna cut the legs. I've got one cut for the far end, so the frame is sitting level now. See that leg? Yeah, just there. Wow, wow. So I'm just going to bring in all the bench top pieces, which I also made off camera. And yeah, I'm just going to see how they stack out here because I haven't done that yet. Hello. So with my slabs all in place on this cabinet, I was checking all my clearances and just going over all the rough spots to mark with a pencil. And now I've taken it all back apart into the workshop and I'm just cleaning it all up. I just want to do a dry fit, make sure everything lines up. That middle block is a bit loose, but it's okay. Back in my workshop, doing the routing after I knew everything was lined up good, and the sanding. I think I sanded down to 120 grit. With all my benchtop pieces sanded and pretty much finalised, ready for coating, I moved on to the framework for the cabinet and the shelves that are going to sit below it. So here I've used some of the old timber flooring that was in the bathroom, and I'm just cutting it down for the frame. Fast forward a lot here and you can see I've constructed most of the cabinet frame. Across the bottom of the cabinet there, you can see that thin strip at the back. That is going to be used later to make sure everything's sort of aligned at the back, because it has to be installed into the bathroom in 2 pieces to fit into that cavity that it sits in. this panel. So this is going to be used to cover up this copper against the wall here that's run into the basin or the tap. I've just got these blocks of wood that I'm anchoring into the wall, into the brick, and they're just going to space this panel out, and because they're wood they give me a space to screw into through the panel and mount one side of the panel there, and the other side will be mounted to the leg of the cabinet. Here I'm gluing up a panel for the opposite end to that copper. I'm using this wedge technique. You lay all your boards flat with parallel edges and you don't really worry about their faces being cleaned. You can see they're all still rough. But you can see all these edges are parallel to each other now. So just doing a simple glue up of that. No dowels, just glue straight on the edge. Use the spatula from Mum's kitchen to, smoothen that all out. And then you just lay them flat like this, straight on top of my wooden workbench, and then hammer your wedges into place. Because the boards run even, I add like strips of wood underneath my weights, which I'm using car batteries, just to sort of have one side, which is facing the table, will sort of sit flat on that face down side, and on this upside I just put pieces of wood underneath my batteries so they are holding down the thinner pieces, if that makes sense. So then one side gets sanded a lot quicker and then the back side can just sort of stay rough. With everything now cut and fitting exactly where I want it, I bring all my panels into the workshop and give them a good wood fill and sanding. I didn't video any of that. But now I'm moving on to some of the other panels, which are the shelves that are going to sit underneath in that cabinet frame I had before. In this clip, on this first panel, I'm measuring up these holes. These are actually from the first panel I cut for the toilet side of the bathroom. No, the shower side, sorry. But we ended up moving the shower again with a new drain hole. So these two drain holes that I had, just like too many holes, so I just threw out this panel and cut a whole new one. However, I wanted this one here, to have this hole in it to align with the new drain for the sink, which you can see is taped up just there in the ground. So this is me trying to figure out how to fit this panel in, to mark it and cut it and get it all fit to size and whatever. And I need it to come equal with the front of that panel, of that piece of wood I just leaned over. It needs to come flush with the edge of that on the front of it. So I kind of just used this first shelf as an example for what I did for every other one, which was just cut it to size and then mark where I need to notch out around the posts in the cabinet. This cut I'm doing right now is actually wrong, and this first panel I actually ended up cutting too short, but everything else applies. Like if I cut it to the right length on the other ones and cut out these notches, then yeah, like there was a couple of notches on another one though that I actually messed up as well, but these are just mistakes you make when you rush stuff and you don't double check measurements and all that sort of stuff. So, which I didn't on this, I was rushing these. There's a following shot that shows why this hole was important. So here it's just trying to line up the hole with the drain pipe there that's sort of hidden by my shoulder now. This is the moment I realized I cut it too short, and I kind of just sat there for a bit and just like was so disappointed in myself for cutting it so short and messing up something so easy. So for the rest of the shelves, it was pretty much the same thing, but I sort of ran out of ply. I only had enough ply to cut 3 full shelves, so I used multiple pieces and stuck them together with these joiner pieces underneath.
Thank you for waiting. Your call has progressed in the queue and will be answered by the next available service representative.
Each area was a little bit different in this cabinet. Each shelf had to be measured a little bit different, and I had to mark the front and the backs so they'd have a cleaner look once it's all sort of finished. This one was made of 3 pieces.
Wow, look at that! Wow, wow, free real estate, wow.
This is the second window frame for that second window that I showed in the first part of this video. Screwed in, clamped, glued up. Everything was then wood filled, the shelves and that window box. The reason being is I wanted to paint everything all in one go so I wouldn't have to wait to use my workshop because I've spread dust everywhere or whatever. There was a day here where every work surface was covered in a panel that was drying either in paint or varnish. There's a shot of it later. This is sort of the final assembly, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, this is the final assembly. There's a few more things that I add on off camera in a before and after shot at the end of this video. Just details. I still hadn't worked out how to attach this until this point, so I realised I'm just going to go sideways through these posts with some 65mm screws. The bench tops were then installed with the same 65mm screws through the bottom of these rails. I had a bit of trouble getting enough force to actually push the panels down because they were a little bit uneven, so I got some clamps in to help me. When it came to the back side of these panels though, I needed some help, so they were done off camera. You can see I just clamped the fronts down and can't really get to the back. And this is a few weeks later. We've moved in. We've started using it. Everything on the top is finished. The sink has been installed. The tap is installed. Mum's installing some decorations like the plant and those ducks. You can see all the plumbing work underneath here. I added this kickboard. This is just showing this whole edge was like curved with this top panel but it was sort of out of focus. Seeing as I didn't get any footage of the massive area that was tiled, I made sure to remember to get some footage of the last little bit of tiling, and I wanted to use as many of the broken tiles as I could, as many of like the already cut tiles as I could. So for all these smaller areas, I went through all the broken pieces and lined up broken tiles. And any intricate pieces that needed to be like cut around trim, I just put a masonry bit on the grinder and cut them out carefully and cleaned up any edges. There was lots of sharp edges, so a lot of light sanding just to round some of the edges. I was really happy with how I cut this piece. Now just mixing the adhesive. You mix it and then you let it sit for a little bit and mix it again. And I just wanted to dampen the area. I poured some water on with the watering can, but I just wanted to dampen it just so I knew that this stuff was sort of like soaking into the wood a little bit to sort of, I don't know if it's going to draw the moisture out of the adhesive. I've had no issues with the tiles, like, as of yet, but in theory I was just allowing that adhesive to sort of soak in and really stick to the wood, so when the tiles go down, they're like clamped to that wood sort of thing really well. You can see I've taped off my wood and the kickboard trim. The final piece on this end, which I'm about to throw in, I actually had to cut 3 different times. Like, this is the 3rd tile I've had to cut just for that piece. I broke it. I used a scrap tile the first time, which broke. I used a new tile the second time and it broke. It was a really difficult cut. Here I'm sifting through more broken tiles, trying to find the ones that will fit best. I sort of just lay them out on top so I know which one goes where. And then, yeah, just more adhesive. Trying to keep it away from the edges with the trail there. Sort of ran it along the edges to push back into the center. So I don't get like that splurge of crack coming up between the tiles and the kickboard. This is the last little bit. I almost forgot this bit. Again, just going through my scrap tiles and seeing what will fit this, but also continue the pattern. Everything's like kept in line up the wall from the floor, so it all looks clean and neat and sort of pulls you into the room and invites you. Now that everything's done, all the tiles are adhesive in, it's time to do the grout. This was actually more like, I don't know, a really rewarding part of the process is the grouting, because it's really satisfying just to go over all those gaps and just watch them all fill in with this nice, I think, what's this colour called? This is cashmere. This colour is cashmere. Cashmere grey. So yeah, just mixing, you know, the tired person that's like exhausted and is getting close to the end of this project, and then just like filling in all these holes with this grout. It was just like a good combination of like a break on this project, I guess. So it was really enjoyable to fill all this grout in. That gap along the kickboard and edge though, like I did try and fill it in as best as I could. And I think the wood and the floor has sort of shifted a little bit since it dried, and it's now cracked again. And I sort of notice it every time I go in there, but I just ignore it for most part. I saw this clean edge. I didn't know how to do this edge at all for ages, like under the window. It's not visible, but you still want it to be clean, you know, like these areas you want to try and clean up all your edges and everything. And then one day I was just going to the toilet in someone's bathroom, and they had tiles coming halfway up the wall, and at the top there, it was just a smooth edge of grout. And I was like, wow, true. Why didn't I do that? So that inspired that little finish there, just to, you know, round it off with grout, smooth out all those rough, sharp edges of tile, and just put grout there. You can see I'm trying very hard to fill in these gaps, but any efforts is futile. It just fucking cracked later on anyway. Now with everything filled in, you go over everything with a wet rag and clean up all the excess grout. I'm making this tile part very long because I had more than a few people say they wanted a video on the tiles. So yeah, there it is, all done. The tiles really do bring the whole thing together. This is some before and afters now. So this is the old window box. You can see it's got quite a big gap there. All I did was cut some spaces and just glue and nail them to the frame and repaint. This is a gap at the shower door between the tile and the trim. So I got my friend who's a master with silicone to come and fill it in. The kickboard and covering up all this rough work. You can see like all the joins and the screws in my writing there. So I just got some more leftover plywood, just made a sort of veneer facade thing to go over and just glued straight on. And the kickboard was painted white to sort of tie into the tiles there. Across the top here, just a piece of Tassie oak. It was just what I had on hand. I didn't want to buy any timber, so using the plywood, just sanding that to look clean. Kickboard in the corner here to clean up that edge. You can see it needs to be repainted. We pulled off the tape and it pulled off the paint. Mum put this towel ring in for the hand basin. You can see we got a bit of blank wall here. I wanted to put something here, so I made these little shelves and we moved some of the plants in here. The ceiling was also a very big vacant high, area. So to complement the plants, we added this little hanging ladder, and we'll try and get that ivy grown across it. This is like a temp toilet roll holder. This is the new and improved one. So we needed to punch this hole in the concrete of the wall here to access the cables for the light in this alcove area, and also the extraction fan. This is after, so we just covered it with a piece of wood, stuck on with glue basically, like silicone adhesive, and then polyfilled and roughened up and painted. So the top switch there is the fan. That's the new fan. So the other one was just covered in crap in yellow, and a new ceiling light as well, and a new door light to sort of match. I'm going to leave this video now with some final shots and little cinematics or whatevers. No music, just all silence, just to make it weird and awkward. Thanks for watching though. Hope you guys enjoyed watching the process. I learned a few things through this, so I'm pretty happy. I'm really happy to be on the other side of it now, because it was a bit of a headache and I got pretty stressed partway through, but anyway, we done it. Happy with it. Yep.
don't know what else to say really. But yeah, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, all that YouTube stuff. You know the drill. Don't have to. Can just watch the video. And thanks for watching. So yeah. Okay. Have a good time. I'll see ya when I make another video.